Going to Wild Robot, the sound effects that you're talking about, and
Mm.
what is it? I probably know partially, but for the audience, what is the process of working on those sounds? Is it when it's going through storyboarding stage, or is it more towards the completion? And how do you record those sounds? If that's, you know, and mixing them up just without getting technical, just in a very similar, summarized way, if you can
Mhm.
explain that.
Sure. Randy is a great proponent and evangelist for this concept of um, starting sound design early, starting it at the conceptual phase. And it makes such a difference when you do that, when you have somebody thinking about your film on the script level of being able to edit the script to accommodate for sound participating in the narrative. Um, and he's really amazing at that. I've read some of his script doctoring where he's come up with ideas, and I've been in spotting sessions where he'll come up with an idea for these psychological tricks of like repeating a sound from one part of the movie to another part of the movie where a character is having a realization. And like those are the kinds of things that about
Wow.
the art and the craft of sound that I learned so much when I work with Randy because he's really got his eye on or his ear, forgive me, on that concept of film of sound elevating a film in such a way that it is an integral part of the story. So on Wild Robot, I think he was involved pretty early. He and Chris Sanders have had a relationship for a long time. Randy did How to Train Your Dragon. I don't know if he did Lilo and Stitch. I think he probably did. Um,
Mhm.
but they had this rapport for many years. And so when it came down to the team coming on board and attacking this thing and, getting into the meat of it and getting it done, that's where I came in. So I'm not completely aware of the conversations that happened prior to that part. But from my part on, it was like I was dumped in, and Randy said, "Okay, I want you to own Roz." So I was like, okay, cool. So I spent a few days recording things. I went out and bought some props. I bought some bike pumps, um, and then I have a really nice set of tools, just like Spicoli's dad. Um, Fast Times at Ridgemont High reference. Sorry if that's
That's
before
okay.
your time.
That's okay.
No, so I've got all this great set of tools, and so I basically sat here with the microphone and recorded, bike pump hisses, so get pneumatic things, vice grips, like whatever I could sort of come in and grab. So I had this set of like building blocks for her. And everything that is in Roz in her core layers is all of that stuff that I originally recorded. And I piece it together and I work in, it's called SoundMiner. And SoundMiner has a sampler base where you can layer things on it. It's called Radium. And that's like pretty much my primary sound design tool these days. But I layer sounds up. I'll do all the tweaking and things until what I have in my head matches what I'm hearing out of the speakers. So
That
that's kind of how Roz came about.
that's lovely, man. Something I just thought of. We're talking about sound, whether it's in relation to Wild Robot or just in general.
Mhm.
Have you ever had a conversation with somebody who is visually impaired, and for them, sound is probably the only thing that
No, but I
speaks?
think about them a lot. I think about how Stevie Wonder is like one of the greatest musicians of all time. It's like there's that deficit that because he has no vision, he compensates with just this incredible oral magic, and I do believe that to that extension, I believe that people, different people relate to the world in different ways. A lot of people relate to the world visually. I am definitely a person that relates to the world audibly or orally or whatever. Just because that has been the way that I have created the channels in my brain since I was a kid. I grew up in a household. My dad was a woodworker and a furniture builder, and he built speakers because he was also a bit of an audiophile. And so my childhood was listening to records and radio, and I liked visual arts, but for me, everything that I gravitated to was auditorily. And I think, as a rule, we connect with things emotionally through our ears. Although when you're making a movie, as you know, the visuals cost everything. To create a believable visual, that's where all of the money goes. But to get into an audience head, to get into their heart, you have to do it through their ears.